I am Dr. Amina Wadud, a full professor of Islamic studies with a focus on gender and textual analysis. Because I am a Muslim by choice, the intellectual inquiry was a major part of my making a decision to become a Muslim, and that intellectual inquiry continued into my early days of Islam when I first came across the Qur'an in English. I was really very smitten by the book and really wanted to learn as much as I could about that book. So I immersed myself in several years of studying Arabic and then living in an Arabic-speaking country to think about graduate school. And when I thought about graduate school, it was this interest in both the Quran and in gender that sort of led me through the courses that I chose and eventually to my dissertation topic, which was about women in the Quran. So it really started as my inspiration for becoming Muslim in the first place.
Show of hands if you remember when saying Muslim feminist was considered an oxymoron. Show of hands if you still think that it's an oxymoron. Okay. So what happened? In this presentation, I hope to run through the major turns in the road from the days when feminism wasn't wide enough to embrace Muslims and Islam wasn't universal enough to embrace feminisms. There have been more radical considerations of the possibilities of how to live as Muslim women in our time than at any other time.
I would simply say that the tradition did not give us a record of women's responses to that sacred text. We don't even have like journals on the side. And what I learned in studying hermeneutics and textual analysis led me to understand that the location of the reader makes a difference in how the text is being read, and therefore it makes a difference who the reader is. And if you have a 1400-year plus intellectual tradition of engaging with the text, but you don't have a record of women's responses to that text until this last century, that maybe we are missing something from the story of how the text is understood and how it is applied. So it was a really simple kind of formula, and that is you can't distinguish between women and men, which is, throughout the system of analysis in Islam and Islamic thought. You can't have that understanding and then say we're going to have a one-legged response to what is the book of guidance. A woman reading about Mary, the mother of Jesus, when she's in labor, may have a different understanding of what is written there than a man who has never also gone through labor. So these simple things make a difference, but there is also the possibility that there are a lot more subtle and profound differences. So the motivation was simply not finding my voice within this large corpus of material called tafsir or textual analysis. I think I lean towards the idea of being an example. I mean, I want to demonstrate the kinds of things that I think are good and the kind of principles and values that I believe are necessary. While at the one hand, leading prayer is a special role in that only one person can do it at one time, I am trying to deconstruct the hegemony of ritual leadership. So I am actually also encouraging other people to lead, and that everybody doesn't have to be a specialist, that we share in our participation in this ritual. So we should also share the responsibility of being a prayer leader. which is, again, it's not a leadership role, it's a functional role within the context of a very elaborate ritual. So to encourage the sharing means that I encourage other women in other circumstances and I encourage men in other circumstances simply to get to the point where it's not looked at as a kind of hierarchy.